Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting.
Recording in progress.
There, okay. I was waiting for her to say something, so.
Takes a while.
Okay. Yeah, it's not too good. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Swanton Village Board of Trustees for Monday, February, lucky number 13, 2023. First order of business, we'll all stand and pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, I hear through the grapevine that we have a heavy agenda tonight. So, item number 3 is if we've got any additions, deletions, changes to that agenda. Either do it now or forever hold your peace.
All good.
Okay, public comment. I hear the chamber president would like to say something under public comment.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank
So you have the floor, Adam.
Thank you. So last Friday night, the Swanton Chamber of Commerce celebrated the Swanton Citizen Business of the Year winner for 2022. We're also graciously, we had the 2020 winner and the 2021 winner as well. So it was great to have them as well, to recognize them one more time, because they didn't get the awards dinner, due to circumstances beyond our control. So the 2021 winner was Debbie Dubois Lavoie from formerly Flowers by Debbie. The 2021 winner was Herb and Lynn Bartamy from TDI Repair. And the 2022 winner was, Gordon and Debbie Winners. I knew that, I'm sorry. So just a great night all around. We also recognized E.J. Barrett Ford and Sons for 100 years in business. And tonight, we'd like to just do one more presentation with Neil Spear Construction, if we could.
You could. Yeah. Would you like me over there?
Yeah, please. So the Swanton Chamber of Commerce would like to recognize Neil Spear Construction for 50 years in business, 1972 to 2022. I'll just read this, it'll be easier.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. The Swanton Chamber of Commerce congratulates Neil Spear Construction for 50 years in business in the Swanton and surrounding communities. Through hard work, dedication, and loyalty, Neil Spear Construction has earned the respect of the building community throughout the area. Congratulations.
Right. Very nice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A little bit late, but we got it done.
Gentlemen, photo, please. Together, photo.
Together photo. And I do deeply apologize to the chamber for not being there, but they picked my 50th wedding anniversary night to have their banquet. So I had another commitment that night, or I would have been there.
Yep,
And
completely understandable.
thinking back on 50 years, I still remember my first customer. Neil Spear Construction started, like I say, July 1st, 1972. And I was working for another contractor here locally. And on the weekend, he disappeared. And I was working at Bob Horton's house on Broadway. And I came in on a Monday morning and nobody was around. So I said to Bob, I said, what do I do? So I said, why don't I start my own business and I'll work for you? So Bob Horton was my first customer 50 years ago. And I thank him, and I thank the Swanton, Franklin County, Grand Isle County community for getting me this far. I'm not done yet.
There you go.
I'm semi-retired, but not done yet. So thank you, Adam. So. Okay, one other announcement, as long as I've got the floor. I am going to be out of town starting this Thursday, the 16th, for a couple of weeks. I'll be back for voting day, but I won't be here for the informational meeting, so I apologize for that, but this 50-year business is getting the best of me here, so. Anyway, okay, onward. Item number 5 on our agenda this evening, approve and accept the minutes from our Monday, January 30th, 2023 meeting. What's your pleasure on the minutes?
I move they be approved as printed.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve and accept the minutes from our Monday, January 30th meeting. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's carried. Item number 6, approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, February 9th, 2023. What's your pleasure with the warrants?
I would make the motion that we accept those warrants.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, February 9th. Any discussion, questions on the warrants?
Not tonight.
You don't have any questions, Al?
No, sir.
Okay,
Well, I just one question on, there's a, Cattell and Brannigan Sergeant, is that the full bill, 23?
That's a progress bill, so that's the bulk of the bill. We've paid one bill prior to that that was small.
Okay,
So that should be, there probably be one more small one because they're still tidying up the end of the audit, but that would have been all the field work and,
I was gonna say, that looks like small, I thought I was gonna say we got a bargain this year, but,
yeah.
thank you.
okay, any other questions?
None.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried unanimously. Item number 7, we're happy to have a in-house speaker this evening. Gonna give us an upgrade on the hydro power plant on generation. Dan Chevalier is gonna give us the scoop on our hydro plant.
So
Without the floor.
Dan, before you start, so you all have this slide in front of us, and point of clarification, you're not seeing the normal screen changes when one of you speak. It's because we're missing a cable. It does not impact what's happening on TV and what's being put out there. It's just on
Okay.
our end behind us, so.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll have an extra cable in the future, we just don't have one tonight.
okay.
The floor is yours, and I'm gonna do the clicking for you as you progress, but, so just let me know when you wanna change slides.
All right, well, thanks, everybody, thanks for having me. First, I wanted to go over and let you guys know some of the things we accomplished in 2022, where we're currently at, and some things I was working on for 2023. The picture you have in front of you was taken by a drone during the annual shutdown. I've incorporated using drones now because it gives us the ability to look at things that we weren't looking at before, i.e. the surge tank and the sides of the building as well, to check on how that's doing. So you're gonna see more aerial photos.
You have the drone?
We don't yet. I do have access to the P.E.G drone for this coming year, but gives me a nice aerial view.
Yes.
Things completed in 2022. The first big project was the station house batteries. These are a key component for starting and stopping the units. It has to do with the excitation process. The ones we had were originally 20 years old, so it was time to replace these. I'll be retired before we need to replace these again. So it was a good investment to keep the plant units up and running. Another thing that was completed was the battery charger for the batteries. Again, the battery charger we had at the time wasn't functioning correctly, was original to the plant. We were able to upgrade to the newer model, and again, this is something that's going to last us for the next 20 years. It's a key component to keeping the plant running, and it was an essential piece of equipment. The third and final thing was in 2018, we had lost a chunk of rock from the tail race. I believe some of you guys were briefed on this by Scott. During the 2018 river flows that did so much flooding in the area. We were able to get a construction crew in here, and the picture on the right is the completed new formation. We did change the design a little bit because the original formation was the single level, and we actually added on a second level to keep from water getting in behind the original level. So we went a little bit beyond the original design, but we're thinking that this will stand the test of time and stop the erosion of the tail race around the Unit 5 area. So those were the big three things that we were able to accomplish in 2022. Moving forward to 2023, the only major thing we have planned at this time is the Unit 3 guide bearings, which is what you're seeing here in front of you. This guide bearing is essentially 4 wooden blocks that are water cooled, and the shaft spins around the wooden blocks. It's a great system and it works very, very well. Unfortunately, it's also very susceptible to debris when it comes down river. The water gets clogged, and then we have to take the unit offline to save the units and to save the blocks from being burned. So we're going to be upgrading to a different style bearing. Every time the unit's offline, it's a loss of generation. It's a waste. Water starts going over the dam. So it's a good system, but it's a fragile system.
Which unit is this one, Dan?
Unit 3.
3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Unit 3. Essentially what you're going to wind up getting on the next slide is, this is a picture of what Unit 2's bearing looks like, and it's essentially the same thing. It's a grease bearing. It's low maintenance. It'll keep the unit in service, and we don't have to worry about debris clogging up the cooling water system because there won't be. So there'll be less time for the unit to be offline being repaired and more time being online making generation, less spilling over the dam. So for 2023, we're starting off on the right foot. Since the spring of 2022, I'm fully staffed now for the hydro and the maintenance personnel. I've added Mark Tardif for a 3rd shift operator and David Cassidy for 2nd shift. They've completed the training program and are up and running solo on their shifts. They're doing a very good job at picking up on the efficiency and how we're trying to run the plant and the peaking and what's the best way to get the most amount of kilowatts for what water we have. They've really picked it up very well, and they're continuing their education on how to keep the units running, when to use them and stuff like that. So these 2 guys are very good assets to the team, and so I'm hoping you guys will see another good year.
Nice.
So what does that mean for you guys? Let's make some power. I keep track of everything. I have a daily generation I check. I have a monthly, weekly, I have all that. What you're seeing here is a monthly spreadsheet that I use to see how we're doing. In the upper left-hand corner, the graph is a comparison to last year. So I show the guys the generation. I'll be like, this is what we made. Can you get me any more? This is what we did at the conditions at the time. Is there anything more to be had? And I let them see this, and we try to beat previous years. The graph to the right is just a quick side-by-side for the months. The lower graph to the right-hand side, I'm trying to do a 4 to 5 year comparison to see where we fall. Different years you get droughts, some years you get a really good runoff. So if I'm having a really good year and then a really bad summer, I want to be able to look at it and compare it. The column to the right, which isn't colored, is what an average year would look like. So if I tell you guys I'm having an above average year, it's because I'm meeting or matching or passing the numbers that you see on the right-hand column that isn't colored at this time. So you guys will probably wind up seeing this periodically. I like to keep you guys informed too as well. It's just nice to know as well. So, yeah.
So Dan, if I can just ask a quick question, because I just noticed this. What happened in July, August, September of 2021?
July, August, September 2021. So that was our drought summer.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there was no water, there was low water flow, and we just, that's essentially 1 unit online at minimum capacity. It's what the river was giving us at the time. So,
4 months.
When was the dam down?
2017 into 2018, I believe.
Okay, so that's before this, okay.
Yeah, I did not include that because the numbers wouldn't be accurate.
Oh, I
because
know,
the
it
pond
really
level
be
would different.
awful, yeah.
I'll try to get years that were comparable to each other.
Yep, no, that's
having
smart.
all the equipment in service and being able to compare it equally.
Lynn, is this beneficial for us when talking about our budget for power, purchase power?
Purchase power?
EPSA
Thank
kind of uses an average when they look at our budget for our generation piece, and then they add a buffer in there, because you can't predict, in November when they're doing these budgets, or October, that whether the following year is gonna have rain
Right.
or it's gonna have a drought. So they kind of use an average, and then they kind of give us a buffer. And that's at my request, because we've had years when they didn't do a buffer, and we saw some huge swings in our power supply to the negative. And I don't want that in our budget. I'd rather have them be a little high in their numbers. I track something similar for the water plant as far as sales and consumption and production. So it's nice to see, and it gives me a heads up because the way Highgate taxes us is based on the prior year's generation. So I get a good idea as I'm seeing this, what we're gonna look like for, property taxes for the following year.
Right. Cool, thank you.
So essentially what makes part of this possible, the first part was you guys have seen this sheet before. This is our efficiency sheet that we all get trained on, that I came up with. And essentially it's the percentage gate, the CFS, and the kilowatts the unit makes. This has kind of been our bread and butter, and I believe I've showed you guys this before. It really has been proven to be really effective for the units, for the operators to decide what units you use and when. And just to give you a quick breakdown of previous year's generation, just real quick, they used to run unit 2 and unit 3 together because they were smaller units, so they used to believe they used less water. Well, unfortunately, when you did one at 95 and the other one at 80% gate, you were actually using 681 CFS, cubic feet per second. And you were making 4,450 kilowatts or 4.4 megawatts. And they used to believe that was the best that they could do. So we've changed it, and we went through the testing on the next page. Unit 4 at 80% is only using 672, 9 CFS less, and we're doing a difference of 550 kilowatts, or you're doing 5 megawatts. So you're getting half a megawatt more for less water. That one change, I believe, is one of the biggest substantial impacts as to why the generation has been better, because you're gaining half a megawatt an hour. So if just first shift alone does this for 8 hours, you're getting 4.4 megawatts more than you would have been during the previous method of running generation. So the operator's taking the time to seek that information out, I believe, is picking up those extra megawatts that are on the table for us to grab. The other deciding factor for how well the generation's been doing this year is in front of you, you have a graph from the Berkshire gauge. It's one of the gauges we monitor very closely. When the Berkshire gauge moves, we have about 8 hours until that water reaches us. So you can see starting from, I believe it was January 4th, and I believe I started doing this February 4th as well. You can see the Berkshire gauge, 7 feet, 5 feet, back up to 6.5 feet, and start trickling down as well. So we had a substantial amount of water. That's 90% of where the generation is coming from, and the operators the other 10%. If you go to the next page, you'll see what 2022's water gauge was by the blue line. You can see it was substantially less. We weren't having the thaws, we weren't having the rain events, we weren't having the river flow. So we've had a really good January. I'm hoping to have a really good February, but it really comes down to what the weather's doing right now, and we track that very carefully. So we are winning just by default.
Do we coordinate at all with the paper mill? Do they let us know when they're not generating all the time?
No. So Sheldon sends us an email once an hour on what they did the previous hour. So
okay.
as they fluctuate their generation, every hour they send us a generation. So if they're doing 8 megawatts and they go on 7.5, the next hour I'll get the email for the 7.5. So we track them. And so if they jump, we know they got a slew of water, we can jump with them.
Yep.
So yeah, every hour I get an email from them. Or the hydro
Perfect,
plant gets an
okay.
email.
I always wondered how we coordinated that.
Yeah, it's just an automatic email from their generation. I'm not sure how it works, but it's just a screenshot of their meter. So it comes in handy, and then when they're offline, we essentially again use the Berkshire gauge. It's 8 hours from the Berkshire gauge from the time it gets to us.
That's good stuff.
The final thing is like we've been working very closely with Sean Enterline and Heather Darcy from VEPSA during the peaks. And our peaking ability. What you have in front of you is a representation of, I believe, February 3rd, which was that extremely cold day. And we had received a peak alert that they wanted us to maximize generation. So given our training, given what they've given us for feedback, the hours allotted and whatnot, our second shift operator was able to crank get the generation up as high as he could, and then turn down at the appropriate times. So the shaded area from the 1800 to the 2100 block is the peak hours. The blue line is our generation. So he was able to hit the generation perfectly. And just taking the edge off that peak has really been a huge impact and whatnot. And it comes down to our training and our targeted generation, being able to turn up when we need to, turn up when the load needs it, and turn up when it's appropriate, and then turn down. And having the guidance from them with these hour blocks has really been crucial, and it's really been good communication between us and them, as you can see from the graph in front of you.
Cool.
So, that's essentially all I have right now. Any questions?
Well done.
Just a statement, Dan is being modest. The mad scientists at VEPSA are exceptional. It's because Dan and his team are taking that data and just absolutely nailing it that we're performing the way that we are. So it's a credit to Dan and his team.
Yeah. And this board has never had a report like this from our hydro generation. Great.
Yeah, I know, this is,
So, and
this is,
that plant is our diamond in the rough. Swanton Village is diamond in the rough, so. But it's getting fine tuned, so.
It is.
That's good.
It is.
And thank you very much for your presentation. We look forward to the next one, so. And I guess next couple of weeks, we're not gonna get too much water, but we got lots of water last week, right?
So as of Friday, we've been wide open doing 9.1, 9.2 megawatts, which is our max capacity right now.
Yeah.
And we're still currently doing it. I haven't looked at the gauge because I had today off, but I can give you guys a report as early as Wednesday as to what we've been doing. But we've been at max capacity given the rain event and the warm weather. So you're covering the grid and selling, given the time of day like right now, you're probably selling 2 to 3 megawatts back to the grid.
Good deal. Yeah.
Did we get January's check yet?
Yes,
Okay.
we did.
Anybody else have any questions? So,
thanks. Just thank you and a great job,
Thank you.
Dan.
thanks a lot, Dan.
Well done, Dan. You get to come back.
Okay.
Good job.
So just to add on that, like with the, what they did for December, we got a check from VEPSA for over $360,000 that they sold back into the
Really?
grid.
Wow.
Whereas some of the VEPSA members, because remember, we had that cold snap,
Yeah.
or the outages in December, and the prices per megawatt went through the roof, they had members that were hundreds of thousands of dollars over what they normally pay in December. So we had a really good,
One of them.
We're blessed.
Yeah.
we ended up the year about $500,000 under budget for power supply.
Oh, great. Okay, item number 8, review and sign certification of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory. Certification of compliance. Are we compliant?
We are. It's an update. Diane, do we have a blank copy for the trustees to sign?
Yeah, we do. It just says that the legislative body of the Village of Swanton certify that you have reviewed, understand, and comply with the town road and bridge standards, public works specifications and standards. It's just, we do this once a year.
This
Yeah.
is similar to all
Sounded
past
familiar.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says you further certify that you do have an up-to-date highway network inventory which identifies location, size, deficiencies, conditions of road, bridges, and causeways, culverts, and highway.
Okay, so we probably need a motion to sign it,
Yeah.
which would be
I'll-
acceptable.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to sign the certificate of compliance, I think it's what it's called.
And I'll second.
Okay, the motion's been made that we reviewed and authorization to sign a certificate of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory to the state of Vermont. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's carried unanimously. We can sign that, so. Item number 8, approve Ryan Jordan's request for a water and wastewater allocation to convert commercial space into a two-bedroom apartment at 128 Grand Avenue. And I believe that's where A1 Carpet moved out, and he wants to convert it to an apartment.
Should we go into water commissioners?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll make the motion, we go into water commissioners at
Second.
7:27.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to go into water commissioners meeting to make a decision on this request. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're in water commissioners meeting. So, I don't think there's any problem granting Ryan's request. So I'll entertain a motion to approve of his request.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to grant Ryan Jordan's request for water and wastewater allocation at 128 Grand Avenue. Any more discussion?
Does that mean he's already got the hookup?
Yeah,
He's already hooked up.
but the meter will be changed.
There's already a water connection there for his other two apartments, so he doesn't have to pay a water connection fee.
Right,
He has one meter for the whole entire building, he doesn't need to buy a meter, he just needs the allocation.
yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, did you make a motion in a second?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's,
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's carried to grant Ryan Jordan's request. Now I'll entertain, we don't have any more business in water commissioners. So I'll
No.
entertain a motion to come out of water commissioners meeting.
So moved.
second,
All those in favor of, coming out of, water commissioners meeting signify by saying aye.
aye.
Those opposed, okay, we're out of the water commissioners meeting, back into our regular agenda. And I'm sure that Adam put this on the,
I did not.
on the agenda. Item number 10, discussion on coin drops. So,
There's been a request or something?
So, I have some standing requests from
First,
2021.
our normal procedure was we had one a month for so many months.
So we have one a month, May through October, so it's
Okay.
a total of six for the
Six.
summer. But they got postponed due to COVID, so these requests have been sitting in our file since 2021.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Do they still want it?
Yeah, we have the NBU Senior Substance Free Party, we have the Swanton Village Fire Auxiliary, and I have a request from the fire department. They want to know if you can put them back on the schedule. And I did some research, we put it on the ballot in 2017, it did pass, 153 to 149.
What was it?
In 2017, we had put whether or not the
53,
village residents
149.
approved coin drops,
What was their vote?
153 to 149.
Sure votes.
so Adam lost.
It was close, but they did approve it. 4
Yeah.
votes.
But that's 3, 4, 5 years ago, right?
2017. But you did postpone them due to COVID, so
Yeah, we did for a
They
couple of
want 'em
years. 2 years? We postponed them?
2020, 2021, 2022. It's been 3 years, 3 seasons without coin drops.
The benefit for the fire department, on average, when they did hold them, is around $2,000 or more.
2000?
2,000.
Same for the auxiliary probably.
I would vote to resume. The reason I say that is because a large portion of that money is not local, which is kind of nice. It benefits local people, but it's people who are just passing through, and God knows we have a lot of traffic.
A comment I would have too is, we're back to normal on almost everything else, so why make an exception? I didn't think of that before the meeting, but but that's a good point you made.
Yeah. So,
So none of these requests are on the agenda. Would they be at a future meeting, or do you want to bring them forward tonight?
Well, tonight we just wanna see if you're gonna resume coin drops, so then I can reach out to the ones who've been waiting.
Okay,
so that would be the same location right up front.
Same location, so that residents who don't wanna drive through can go down Brown Avenue, and they can also cut down Pine Street. So there is a way to avoid the coin drop if you don't wanna go through it.
yeah, I go around.
I go
Depends
through
on how
one
many
to
times
these.
you're driving through the village.
I already pay my taxes.
Okay, so I'm assuming Chris is making a motion to resume the coin drops and Eugene is seconding it. Am I correct?
I can second it, yeah. The voters did approve it, so
Yeah. So,
they had their chance.
so this is a motion to resume coin drop in the same location, and we'll wait to see who applies, right?
Yeah,
I just feel that since
Those-
these guys have been waiting, it would be,
Have they renewed their request, or they just?
They keep calling, so
Okay.
they're like, as soon as they resume, like MVU Substance would want theirs for May, and the Fire Auxiliary would like theirs for July. That's what I have so far.
Okay,
So I think those spots would be held, but we'll put that on another agenda.
okay.
okay.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve resuming coin drops up front here on First Street. I guess we've had I know what Adam's gonna say, but all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Opposed?
so noted. Majority rules, so we can resume the coin drops. And the applicants, I'm sure, will be the same, and we'll see about that the next meeting, so.
Can I inject a further discussion, Mr. President? So the fire department on the coin drops, it's 2023. A lot of people drive, might want to do a donation, have no ability, only carry a credit card, don't carry cash. But in the spirit of things, want to donate. During the time leading up to that and during the coin drop, if somebody doesn't have money, do the trustees support the concept of them having either a Venmo account or a GoFundMe? So when they hand it out, if somebody did want to go online and make a donation, that they could do it. So it's kind of the same as cash, but it's convenient. But is that something that
Oh, yeah.
the trustees would support?
Oh,
This
yeah.
one would, yeah.
Everybody pays that way. Most everybody.
So that takes it to a different level. It's not a coin drop anymore. It's a donation.
So what are we gonna call it, a donation drop?
I'm just bringing it up because a lot of people will, I don't carry cash.
Well, what you can do is give them a slip of paper with our,
So they're
With the
at the coin
address on
drop, and, oh, sorry, I don't have cash. Oh, here's a slip. If you so choose,
yeah,
here's our Venmo address and here's our PayPal.
Well,
You can do it later.
the fire department will have to set that up.
Yeah, the fire department would hand out this little slip
sure.
with their Venmo address,
So
with their PayPal.
that, that's by the way I see it, that's a separate entity.
That's Star
That's
Hose that
nothing
does
to do with
that.
a coin drop.
No.
If
Right.
they want,
Okay.
if they want to promote it, let them promote it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yep.
Okay,
Am I correct or incorrect? So,
I think you're correct.
I don't have a problem with it, but,
But it would be up to them to hand that to
Right.
take care of, yeah.
right.
They just wanted to be extra cautious. If coin drops, the concept was approved, they didn't want to be in, violate anything by handing something out instead of just a coin drop. So I heard you. We're good.
Okay, good. Okay, now the star of the show, item number 11, the village manager update.
I just have a few things.
Yes.
No, it's really just a few things. Weeman Lamphere Architects reached out. They need the rest of this week to get us a concept quote. So we had dedicated $50,000 in ARPA funds at probably a month ago or so. And they should have essentially a roadmap for us by the next meeting or so, where we kind of know where we stand for full concept design, essentially a study to get us ready to build and a timeline. So more to follow on that. We executed the contract with the town for ExoPixel. That was the Vermont-based website company. We have cut a check for our 50% share, which is in the first year $6,662.50.
I'm sorry, what was that for again?
That's for our
Website.
website.
Oh, the website,
So that was ExoPixel was the one that
Yeah.
we had here.
yeah,
And
they were local.
yep, we have a meeting on the 21st, a 3-hour meeting, Brian, myself, and the vendor, just to kind of talk timeline, 4 to 6 months for full implementation. That's what we're thinking.
Are you enthusiastic?
I am, it looks great. I mean, it's gonna be much more user-friendly, and we've got two experts right here. I'm looking at Diane and Lynn, who are gonna be outstanding website managers.
Okay.
Do they know it yet?
They just
We do
found
now.
out. They just found out. The hotel RIV update will have to go to an executive session to talk about the contract, but we do have, ready for that, the asbestos abatement schedule. So we are on schedule right now to do asbestos abatement in March. We have to wait till March 3rd. About a 6-day period to do the abatement. And then we are ready to execute the contract, which is in place. We paid 25% for the demolition, which will occur in April. So we are on timeline to at least have the building removed by the end of April for Hotel RIV.
Bill,
Do
is
we-
there a waiting period after they finish the removal of the inside stuff?
Oh,
So the answer, no, for the asbestos abatement?
Right.
No.
Right.
When they're done, then there's no waiting period. I think the contractor, David Shea, is planning April even, he might move it up a little bit, but I think that's his schedule is April.
Okay.
does he
So-
know how long it's gonna take to demolish?
It's in the scope of work, I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay, but we do have
we think we're gonna have a clean slate by the end of April, minus any remaining impacts from Tier 1 and Tier 2 assessments. DEC is expected to fund 100% of the remaining assessments that have to happen based on their most recent study.
You mean the backyard?
Correct. Well, the
Now,
backyard.
when are they gonna figure out what is back there and tell us? Or do they know?
They don't know yet. There's additional borings that have to happen. That's that whole, from Tier 1 now to Tier 2, with the boring and all of those things that still have to happen.
And do they have that scheduled? Or are we waiting for more funding for that?
It's
Sort of be
tentatively,
devil's advocate.
it's tentatively scheduled, but there's a lot of moving parts to that. We can just say the building's gonna be gone by the end of
Golly, you're
April.
smooth, Bill.
Pretty smooth, pretty smooth. Yes.
Okay.
More to follow. We're making good progress.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Side note on the RIV, I spoke to our esteemed village president, and he allowed Jason Barney from MVU, from the historian perspective, I gave him a tour today, just a walkthrough for additional photos and videos. During the demolition phase, he's going to have classes watch from a distance, just to kind of memorialize that for history's purposes. So he's pretty passionate about history. We all know that. He's done a lot of books and a lot of good work, so
Yeah.
we spent some time today. The next one's really just kind of a discussion. I've met multiple times with Hank Lambert, Dean, with Public Works here, on what the SEP wants to do, so Swanton Enhancement Plan Beautification Committee. So one point of clarification, I think I know the answer, but I want to defer, of course, to the trustees. The SEP wants to offer about a dozen trees at various locations on First Street, that because of the right-of-way and how narrow it is, they're gonna end up being put on private property if the landowner agrees. They are following a model that worked in Burlington where there's an agreement. So there's essentially an agreement where the owner acknowledges that it's being purchased by SEP, but they take ownership and full responsibility. Hank came to me on behalf of the SEP and said, because they don't know how long they're going to be in existence, and we're a more robust, long-lasting structure, would we be willing to be the signatory for that arrangement? And I told him I did not think so, but I will ask. And I would recommend to the trustees that I go back to Hank and suggest that the SEP have that contract with those private landowners. I just, in case there was a different thought here, I can change course, but I wanted to check with you.
No, I think that should stay right with SEP.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's their program.
Yep, good. Just a quick update, again, MVU, Jason Barney has 4 different classes. And I think the more that we can do with the school community, the better off we're gonna be as a community and as a village entity. 4 classes are gonna come down here. They're gonna be right in this room. We're gonna do a kind of a show with police, fire, like we've done in the past. But we're gonna do one better this year. Each of those 4 classes is gonna do a full tour at the hydro facility. So they have like an hour, they have an hour and 5 minutes, what we're gonna bring them through. Dan's on board, thinks it's gonna be educational, and they're really excited at the school about that. So it ties into something later with the Scott Mueller scholarship that I'll talk about. And we are hosting here on June 6th, the Northern Vermont Economic Development District Group. Lunch here at 1 for any, and I'll remind you as it gets closer, for any of the trustees that want to join. And then that group is going to go up and do a hydro tour as well at their request.
What date?
June 6th. Yep. So again, 1 o'clock, we do lunch here, provided by Franklin County FCI, DC, and that entity, and we go up and do a tour of hydro.
It's been a number of years since we've had an open house up there. That might be a nice thing to do, something like this fall or something when the leaves are out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, the more the merrier, especially, yeah, nicer weather for sure. Yep. We've been having a bunch of meetings with congressional delegations that are, it's nice to see. So representatives from the various district offices and senator's office have actually come here and had meetings with me in this case about the vast amount of dollars that are available out there, in particular in water and wastewater. So just an update there, our congressional delegation seems to be hard at work, in particular reaching out to municipalities to include us to say the door's open and we got a good conduit to them. So that's a good thing.
Well, we certainly have some old pipes that could be replaced.
We have plenty of need, that's for sure. Just an example, you know how the whole world is fighting with vacancies? So USDA, Sarah Waring, brilliant in terms of her grants management and her leadership. They're operating at 59% capacity with 18 vacancies on her staff alone. That's in the grants world for USDA. So, delays. That's what we're seeing. Water plant update, just real quick. We brought a vendor in that was approved by the trustees, a vendor called West Tech that came for 3 days, a gentleman out of Montana who's an expert in all things water, like throughout the United States and the world. And in 3 days, he made adjustments to the alum levels and other things that should have us operating smoothly into the future with no upgrades other than changing the way we do business just a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. It's beyond my expertise, but, so this is another topic. I'll just jump to this one. The same way that Dan just came in, I want our department leaders across the board to come in, starting next time with, maybe we'll bring Todd from water or Jason, but those leaders have been informed and same kind of format. Educate us, educate the public about the good things that are happening, any budget pressures, any projects, any things like that. So those little tweaks, Todd is like on cloud 9 in terms of what he anticipates, because there was a series of problems where they were getting called out almost every night to have to go in to reset the system. And that seems to be in a rearview mirror now after a quick 3-day visit.
So where did you find this expert that came in?
So West Tech is the ones, they were not the ones that installed our tanks, so but their name's now on it. So they're kind of the vendor of choice, and this guy is the one that actually installed all the stuff in St. Albans. He's been to our plant, he was at our plant like years and years ago, before any of our time, including Reg, and he could just point out everything. It was pretty cool.
Good.
So I went down there to meet him, and he's talking at a level way over my expertise, but rave reviews for him. On the wastewater end, Jason Starr recently passed his grade 2 certification, which is big for us because technically we, at one point, were considered a class 3 facility. We are almost near the process to be redesignated as a class 2 facility, meaning a grade 2 water license is all that you need to fully operate the facility. We were operating under a previous license for an employee who was no longer with us, and that's not the best business. So we're in really good shape. Dylan DuPont, he passed his grade 1, is now in a class and is studying for his grade 2. And of course, the goal is for Todd, Jason, and Dylan to be at the highest certification that we need in both water and wastewater. So those 3 are fully conversant in anything that we need to do, plant-wise. This is a quick discussion. We have an opportunity that we have not had before. VEPSA is reached out to us, and we have the ability to do and claim full credit for a tier 3 credit. Highgate Elementary installed heat pumps. So as part of VEPSA, they are required to have X number of tier 3 credits collectively a year. And we have a certain percentage that we're required to have. And that looks like this. We have to have annually, stand by, 16% of the aggregate, or 2,645 megawatt hours equivalent of tier 3 credits. Or, as I found out from Julia Leopold, there is technically a penalty. So here's the question. And I don't think we need a motion, although yeah, we probably do. I think we need a motion for me to represent the interest of the trustees in reporting to VEPSA. You have an option. You can either take the entire credit for the Highgate Elementary School, which is 990 megawatt hours equivalent, which gets us a third of the way to our goal, or we can share with other VEPSA members. The standard for VEPSA, according to Julia Leopold, is no harm in claiming this 100% for ourselves. I just need to send an email on behalf of you saying that the trustees have spoken about this and we wish to capture all tier 3 credits for the Village of Swanton.
Had she given you a dollar amount of what that's gonna cost us? Or are they still figuring that out?
They're still figuring that out. And in fact, that is just an estimate for the megawatt hour equivalent because they haven't finalized it yet. So I'm recommending to the trustees that we don't share this time, that we claim full credit for ourselves so that we don't have to pay as much of a penalty. But I just want authorization from the trustees to send that email on your behalf.
I would go for that, but my question is, the only way you can get those credits is through heat pumps?
That is one of the only ways now. Large solar and heat pumps are essentially the only way we can qualify for tier 3. And this literally is our first opportunity.
Right, it's like tier 3 is like the hardest ones to
Yes.
get right now.
Yes.
But we've got a substantial number of people with solar, right?
We only have like 35 customers with
Really?
solar.
What happened with what up on the frontage road? That didn't happen?
Well, but that's old, like every year you've gotta have new projects.
Just gotta have new,
So this is during,
because like a heat pump doesn't work for a house in the village. It would have to be, on the country.
and you would
You
get,
gotta have land to be able to do it.
you would get very few tier 3 credits, if any, for a private home
Yeah.
heat pump. This is for commercial buildings.
Commercial buildings only.
Right.
But we don't have a lot of commercial buildings.
Within our
Correct.
service territory, but
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So
Would,
in the
uh,
long run, are we better off if we pool with other reps, the
Well,
other veterans?
we are all pooled, and VEPSA in aggregate meets the goal, but individually, some have more and some have less. So this would, what Bill's trying to say, is we can either take this towards our share completely, or VEPSA can split it amongst all their VEPSA members, and we would get a fraction of that allocated to us.
So Julia Leopold is the point of contact at VEPSA.
Yeah.
And she literally said that most organizations, at least for this, like their very first hit, claim it for themselves. So we're not being because that's what I asked. I said, we want to play nice with VEPSA. We're one of the contributing members. Yes, but she said, no one's gonna think anything other than it's okay to claim the whole thing.
Why would there be an option? It seems like a no-brainer. Sorry.
In some cases, a utility may not want to, depending on the cost, may not want to pay it out, because we will pay it out to the school. So there may be some instances where a utility doesn't have the funds to pay that lump out, depending on what it equals. And that's why they choose to run it through VEPSA and do it.
Can you
Aggregate.
imagine something like Johnson, if they did something with all the buildings at the college? That's a small community.
Yeah.
I see your point. I withdraw my comment.
No, that's what I'm saying. It seems like hopefully this thing is a little dynamic so that in the future we can decide to play in the pool or to take it to ourselves.
I think it's a
It's gotta
case-by-case
be
basis.
based on your capability.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like Eugene's example of having the opportunity to have an entire college
Right.
with 30 or 40 buildings.
Right.
Like that,
know,
but that may
versus
give you
us with
too much, right?
not enough.
What do you think?
So at least they allow us to pool everything.
Yep. And that's part of the beauty of being a member of VEPSA.
Right.
If we weren't part of
Might as well take
VEPSA,
advantage of
we
it.
wouldn't be, we'd be having to meet our tier 3 requirement solely
All
on
by
our
ourselves.
own.
Right.
So, just a thought. We're gonna do some major remodeling on the village complex. If we utilize heat pumps, for some of it, that would qualify.
That
You
qualifies,
certainly would.
because we have,
Yep.
this building has an electric bill,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it would qualify.
Originally, there was radiant heat in the floor before they put the natural gas in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just a question.
So do
So you
we,
need a motion?
I think we do.
Yeah.
I would make the motion that we go with the proposal as presented, the fact that we take the credit entirely for the school.
Then I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to go with Bill and Bep's suggestion to take full credit for the heat pump allowance for the Highgate School. We've already had discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, and that was to give Bill authorization to do that.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Last little update, I met with Richard Barwin, who works at Missisquoi, and he's the one that is helping us with the internship for Scott. So we met on Friday. He turned this around by this morning, and here's the design of this. This is designed for him to use internally to identify interested 18-year-old students who would meet the criteria listed, and then we would take that list and conduct interviews internally to select the interns. So I just want everybody just kind of review it to make sure we're not missing anything with this. And if not, we will allow MVU to proceed with this kind of interest for internship. Yeah, you saw it.
This sounds great. Be nice if we could do this with linemen too.
I've had a conversation with him and he knows our door is open for any type of job shadow, any type of internship. anything. And he said he's had a significant number of students that have gone to lineman school in the last 5 years.
We've had guys from
Yes.
MVU and from other schools
Yeah.
come and shadow our guys
Right.
in the
I think it's
past.
neat.
Okay.
That's great, John.
I think this is fine.
Yeah, me
Just
too.
reviewed it.
You put this together over the weekend?
He put that together in a matter of hours, and I was very impressed with my meeting with this gentleman. And you know, he did this research, by the way. I did not give him any of these details. I gave him the annual report, which had some, and he put this together. So I don't think we need a motion. It's just an FYI.
Yeah.
Then
good.
the next steps, though, within the next week or so, I bet he's got a list of candidates. So that the open-ended question is, who, if anybody, from the trustees want to sit in on the interviews for internship, or do you not want to? I don't need an answer now, it's just something we'll set up. So if you have a particular interest, of course, we're gonna have Reggie sit in, we're gonna have Dan sit in, and any other interested
I might
folks.
be interested.
Yeah, yep,
The whole reason I became a trustee 23 years ago was this power plant.
yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, great idea. Good setup. You did a good
Yeah, I
job.
like that a lot.
The school is doing some really, really cool things, I think, in terms of this. It's really, really
In
good.
general, we need more tradespeople in every system,
We do.
Yeah.
Yep.
so, okay?
And that hourly rate looks right? That'll get the
17.
intern through the entire summer.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's all I have until executive session.
Good job, Bill.
Thank you.
So, item number 12, any other necessary business? Nobody has any business? Adam did his business and they,
Did my business.
I shouldn't say, took care of his business.
Yes.
Under public comment. So, and thank you for that. So,
You're welcome.
yes, I think, all the points that we've been over tonight is a good start to publicizing what we do in this system here. We're getting credit for it, so.
Agreed.
Okay, if there's no other necessary business, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session unless, you guys wanna say anything in open session? No? I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss contracts, personnel, and real estate.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to go into executive session to discuss contracts, personnel, and real estate. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried unanimously. We are in executive session.